Hello everyone. That last video got a little intense and may have culminated in me yelling at my 7th grade English teacher. But today, you're going to be refined, sedate, because Victober is upon us. What is Victober? It is when you take the normal month of October and infuse it with as much Victorian literature as you can cram in there. If you want to know more, I will link to the hosts' announcement videos, the hosts being Kate, Katie, Ange, and Lucy. Each of them has a challenge for us, and there is also a group readathon, a group read-along, and a general challenge. So I have sorted out my TBR. I may have sorted out my TBR, like, in the middle of watching the first of the 4 announcement videos that I watched. I take Victober very seriously. I've divided my TBR into sort of 3 sections. The first section is addressing the challenges. The second section is what I'm going to be doing for Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which happens in the middle of October. And the third is other books that I would also like to read, and if I have time, we'll get to. So the 4 challenges are to 1, read a book by one of the hosts' favorite authors, being Charlotte Bronte, Dickens, Gaskell, or Hardy. 2 is read a Victorian book with a proper noun in the title. 3 is read a Victorian book written in the either first 10 years of the Victorian period or last 10 years of the Victorian period. 4 is read a Victorian book written by a woman anonymously or pseudonymously. And 5 is read a Victorian book and watch a screen adaptation. And then the read-along is Wives and Daughters. So I'm going to start off the month by addressing the group read so that I make sure I get to it. So reading Wives and Daughters will also count for challenge 1 because it's by Elizabeth Gaskell. And then the next book that I have meets 3 and almost 4 of the other challenges. So I will be reading Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, which was published under a pseudonym, Curabell. It does have a proper noun in the title. It was published in 1849, making it just 2 years later than the time frame that would satisfy Katie's challenge. So you couldn't have written a little bit faster, Charlotte. So I suppose I will be forced to read Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. Woe is me. Some of you are actually thinking woe is me. But this is by Thomas Hardy, so it does the first challenge. It has a proper noun, and it was written in the last 10 years of the Victorian period. It's also a book that I have really been meaning to get around to for a very long time, because I keep saying Thomas Hardy is my favorite Victorian author, and yet I have not read one of his most famous works. And a couple of months ago, I decided that I am not allowed to reread any Hardy until I have finished all of his novels. I'm not gonna make myself read all of the short stories and poetry, but I do really need to get through all of these novels before I read The Return of the Native for the 9th time. Then in the middle of October, Dewey's 24-hour readathon is happening on the 20th and 21st. That's Saturday and a Sunday. And last Dewey's 24-hour readathon, I read a bunch of George Bernard Shaw plays, and I'm just going to continue along with that. I think there are 5 or 6 plays by Shaw that were written in the Victorian era that I have not gotten to yet. So I will be doing those for that readathon. I may not be able to get to all of these, but they are The Devil's Disciple, The Man of Destiny, which I believe is just a 1-act, Caesar and Cleopatra, Captain Brassbound's Conversion, and The Admirable Bashville, which is also a 1-act. Then a couple of other Victorian novels that I'm interested in and will get to if I have time. The first one is The Making of a Marchioness by Frances Hodgson Burnett. She is most famous for her children's literature, like The Little Princess and The Secret Garden, but she also wrote novels for adults. Emily, The Making of a Marchioness was originally published as 2 books, The Making of a Marchioness and The Methods of Lady Walderhurst. And they have since generally been published together, either under the title The Making of a Marchioness or the title Emily Fox Seton, if you are looking for a copy yourself. And I'm not planning on doing the 5th challenge, which is read a Victorian novel and watch an adaptation, because I'm just not really in the mood for like watching fiction at the moment. But if I do watch an adaptation, it will be of this. This was adapted into a TV movie, I believe under the title The Making of a Lady, because they didn't think Marchioness would sell very well. And the costumes are real good. I want them. And the other two are also kind of a set. They are The Semi-Detached House and The Semi-Attached Couple by Emily Eden. So that should keep me busy for the month of October. And I hope you will join in the Victorian extravaganza. See you later, guys.